welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. It's time for our back to school sketch with me. And I have a fun project planned, but first I wanted to talk a little bit about our 8x8 albums. I'm getting ready to offer a video class showcasing our 8x8 albums, and I've put together some pages for back to school. And I will be teaching how to do this back to school album in my class. You can find more information in the description box below on how to sign up through my website. If you would like to create a back to school 8x8 album for your kids, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to have that photo of my child on their first day of school, maybe along with their class picture and their actual school photo that was taken by the professional photographer. And this way you can kind of see both pages at once and get an idea, a snapshot of what their third grade year looked like. So just a fun little project. I just wanted to talk about it a moment at the beginning of this sketch with me video. Check the description box below. I think my first day of school embellishment's probably going to go in the front. I still have to do my page layout for that, and I might get my 8x8 template out for that one. But I just thought this would be a fun embellishment to add to this album. Why not? So on to the sketch we're going to be doing today. This sketch is from the January 2021 Creative Memories Virtual Crop Challenge number 3. I will also have a link to the blog post where you can find this sketch as well in the description box. And I am going to be using our Building Blocks Designer Paper Pack, which came out when the back to school pages came out, and I just thought it would be fun to do a school layout using the Building Blocks pages. It's kind of a cousin, maybe a sister or brother paper pack to the back to school pages. We are going to use the back to school embellishments and sticker pack. I do have those ready to go, but I just thought it would be fun to use the Building Blocks pages for this particular layout. I did pull out one of my mats from the mat pack, and you'll see where that's going to go in a little bit. I'll just set that aside for now. And I also am going to be fussy cutting this particular page because when I started to look at the layout and what I wanted to do with it, I thought this one's going to be a little bit harder to work with than just the straight colored ones and the one with the multicolor on it. So I really wanted to do something special with this one, and you'll see what I'm going to do here in just a moment. I have 3 sheets, one of each of the sheets from the Building Blocks paper pack, and then I also have a single sheet of black cardstock to use as the base. So I am going to go ahead and pull out my 12-inch trimmer, and we are going to start cutting some paper here. Let's start with the fussy cutting. Why not get it out of the way first, right? This one, we need our expandable arm out for here. We are going to cut it at 6 inches, so right down the seam of this page. I will double check it with my handy dandy cutting guides here to make sure that I am actually lined up nice and even. Okay, I am going to pull, also I'm going to turn this one 90 degrees, and we are going to go ahead and cut this at 4 inches because 4 times 3 is 12. It's a 12-inch sheet. So we should have this at 4 inches. I'm going to double check it again because again, we're fussy cutting it a little bit. I want to make sure I am lined up where my blade is going to cut it, so that way I don't have to go back and feel like I need to correct anything later. Well, I got a tiny bit of red. I think I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and do our second cut again at 4 inches. And I'm going to try to line this up on my grid lines a little bit better this time, but I am still going to pull out my cutting guides here. There we go. Okay, so we have 3 4-inch by 6-inch mats. I'm pretty sure we're only going to be using 2 of these for this layout, but I just thought that these would be actually fun mats to put our photos on. We'll find out. Let's see. We'll see what it looks like when we get to that point. Also, this part of our sheet, I am going to cut down 2 inches off of the top and the bottom because we're going to need 6 1.5 inch by 8 inch strips, and I kind of wanted this one to run through the 3 colors. So let me get this over to 2 inches here, and we're going to cut 2 inches off of the top and 2 inches off of the bottom before we do anything else. Here we go. Set that aside, and now we're going to turn it. So we should have an 8-inch piece, right? Yes, we do. Okay, so we're going to turn it. We're going to go ahead and cut our 1.5 inch pieces, and we're going to go ahead and take 2 of them because we're going to use both sides of the paper on the base of our layout. So one will have this side up and the other one will have that side up. And we'll see how it works out for us again. Usually when I'm filming these videos is when I'm trying these layouts for the first time. So we'll see how it works out for me. So we will have a couple scraps for our cards at the end here. I am going to go ahead and grab my next sheet. With this one, oh, actually we also are going to need to cut some squares. So let me bring that one back in. So for this next sheet, we're going to go ahead and cut 3 inches first. And then we are going to turn it, cut our 8-inch piece here. Hang on to this piece here. We're going to go back now, turn it again, and cut it at 1.5 inches. So that way we have 2 more of these 1.5 inch by 8 inch strips. We're going to flip one of them, and we'll see how we arrange these coming up for our actual layout. We're going to go ahead and take this last sheet, and I think I'm going to cut it this way, because the other side doesn't matter as much. This one looks like it's a little bit more directional. So let's go ahead and cut 3 inches by 12 inches of this one. Oops. And this is why I hold on to my paper now, because we know Catherine doesn't always, oops, get through the whole sheet the first time. Well, I'm going to get my scissors out. That's what they're there for. Let me just go ahead and scissors to the rescue here. I don't know what I did on that one, but that's why it's okay. It's fun working with paper, because you just use your scissors and it works out every time. So go ahead and turn it to the 8 inches. And now set that piece aside, turn it again, and we're going to put it at 1.5 inches. Which essentially centers it on both sides. It doesn't matter which grid line you're really using to measure it, because we're essentially cutting the strip in half. So there we go. We have our 6 strips that are going to run through the middle of our sketch behind here. But now we need to cut some squares for the points. And we need to cut 6 1.5 inch squares, because the width of our strips is 1.5 inches. So these pieces that we had just a minute ago, we are going to go ahead and cut at 1.5 inches right here, and then we're going to turn it and cut it at 1.5 again. So again, this is essentially cutting it in half. And then we're going to take them, I'm going to just go ahead and stack them. We are going to, well, okay, I'm not going to stack them. This, sometimes it works out easier than other times, right? Let's just go ahead and we can get them both on the grid line. Let's go ahead and get out our cutting guide again and make sure that our blade is going to go through the center points of our square. We're cutting it on the diagonal. And I need to fix this one just a little bit here. There we go. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to hold this one again. And there we go. So these two are now cut on the grid line. And I said we needed 6 squares. So we have, you can flip 2. Go ahead and make a nice stack if you want. Actually, I probably should stack them where I can see what colors I have. So we'll just go ahead and do it this way. Next, we're going to go ahead and pull it off of this one. So we need 1.5 inches. Again. Okay, that's going to be set aside for our cards. 1.5 inches here. And I'm just going to line them up again, both of them on the line here, and I'll just hold on to it because otherwise I don't know how it's going to work out for me trying to stack them. So we're just going to do it this way. And it worked well the first time, so why not? Just ever so slightly off. There we go. That's going up. And there we go. All right, so we have some more of our little, they're just going to go on the top and the bottom. And actually it looks like, that's 1.5. Ah, well, this is where Catherine failed geometry apparently. I needed 1.5 on the diagonal, not 1.5 on the actual square part. So we needed to cut these a little bit smaller, but you know me, I tend to be a little bit frugal with my paper, so I'm just going to go with it and we'll see how it turns out. So on your measurements, make sure that you get your, it's 1.5 inches, but it needs to be 1.5 inches on this. So I'm guessing you probably needed a 1-inch square maybe. Well, I'm doing 1.5 on this one. Hang on, let me see which color I want. What would pop the most with what we have? Probably blue. So we're gonna go ahead and use the blue. All right, 1.5. Since I did all the others at 1.5, I'm gonna just keep on with the 1.5. And oops, it's a good thing I didn't actually cut through that one because it shifted on me. There we go. Let's go ahead and line these up on that diagonal also. And if somebody wants to correct my math, go ahead and put it in the description box or in the comments below. I would love to know what I should have cut these squares to. And I'm sure it'll help everybody else that watches the video afterwards. So don't make my mistake. Okay. So that is our cutting for now. We can put our 12-inch trimmers away. Let's pull out our sheet of cardstock that's going to be our base, and let's go ahead and start building our layout. I actually think I'm going to grab my 13 by 13 cutting mat because we want to start, actually I need to get my no slip pad too, because I don't want my layout sliding around on me while I'm trying to put it together here. Here we go. Let's get this straight on here, and this is lined up here because what I want to do is have my pieces, this midpoint needs to be through the 6 essentially, and we need to have basically, it was roughly an inch on each side. And so let's see what we have. Let's first figure out which order we want to put these in. I imagine maybe having that towards the middle might be good. This is kind of has some yellow. This is some blue. Here's more yellow. Let's put the yellow and the red next to that. All right. So we have our 6 roughly that we're lining up with right about here. We need space for our triangles, and we are actually going to, did I flip one? Did I lose one? What did I do? I flipped one. Okay. It's not even a Monday morning. I can't blame it on the Monday morning again. So these are just kind of be off spaced. Let's see here. It looks like we need to move this down just a little bit. So here's our 10 and here's our 2. So if we center our 8-inch strips essentially along the lines with the 10 and the 2, and then with the 6, that should be enough space for us to fit in all our triangles and everything else. Okay. Should I use the repositionable? Should I use the permanent? That's the next question. What do we think here? All right, let's go with the permanent. Why not? I am going to actually start with the one in the middle here, because then I can use the one next to it as a reference. Let's move that up for now. Putting some tape on, and here we go. I love how colorful this is. It does just scream back to school to me in all of its primary color glory. I think we're pretty well lined up. I feel like I need to actually even just get out my ruler here and go ahead and grab my multi-purpose tool, because it looks like I am just a little bit off. There we go. I didn't even push it down all the way. But let me get my 6 and my 10 and my 2 lined up. It's almost like using it almost like a T-bar here, like they use in, what is it, architecture? Just to make sure that we're straight and getting this first one down, and the rest of them should fall into place from there. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to line it up with the one next to it here now. That we got that first one straight. There we go. Who knew that I would actually need to be quite so precise? I'm so used to eyeballing so much of it that this one feels like it's definitely a little bit more of a thinking mathy person's layout, but that's okay. That's why I love trying all these different sketches and giving everybody different ideas. I hope it inspires you to try some of these projects. Okay, so next I'm going to grab out my parchment board so that way I can start doing some of these triangles. using the repositionable tape. And I'm just going to let it overlap a little bit on each side. I'm just going to let it overlap a bit on each side, and here we go with our second piece. We don't necessarily want the same color with the color that's there, or the exact paper, so I'm going to try to offset some of these, and we'll, again, see how it works out for me. Let's the green kind of needs to go over here. Let me go ahead and get these placed so that way I make sure I have a pretty good spacing, because this one has a lot of blues up here and red. And red needs to go away from the other red as much as possible. And of course I didn't want to put the multicolored with the multicolor, so this by default is going to go here. I'm going to actually put this piece up here because it has less blue at the bottom, and this one has a little bit more. So let's do it so our end triangles wind up on top of the other ones. Which one's already stuck down? There we go. So let's go ahead and get these going here. So this actually is giving it a little bit of a different look than just the everyday banner type look. I kind of like my mistake. Every once in a while there's a happy mistake, and maybe not so geometry centric worked out for me. There we go. I like that it hangs over a little bit. I like that it gives it almost a little bit of an offset look to the design. So my ends are going to be on top. Let's see, those two are stuck down already. Hang on, this one's kind of a little bit up. There we go. Sometimes you can just fix it by putting just a little bit of extra repositionable on the end if something doesn't look right. Not laying flat the way you want it to. There we go. There we go. I think it was Bob Rossett that talked about the happy mistakes, and I am very happy with my mistake. Who knew? So now let's pull our sketch back out, and you can see that we have one mat running vertically and one mat running horizontally, but they're kind of a little bit at an angle. And this is where I wanted to use the yellow and the red kind of running through. Oops. No, this is going to go this way, and this is going to go over here because we've got more red over here and a little bit more yellow over here. So we want these to actually be able to pop up our pictures when we get our pictures on. And then I had that mat, or the card here. And this I wanted to place down here because I thought this would be a really fun journal box on this page, since we're, the theme kind of is back to school. And I wonder if we do this upside down, So that way you can get a little bit more of an effect of the lines and it goes a little bit more with the actual blocks. So let's put that in. I don't want that sticking out beyond my actual base here. So we're gonna, I think we're actually gonna cut this down a little bit. I think I'm gonna take about 2 inches off of it, just because it's a little bit too wide. So this was one of our 4x6 cards, and so I am just taking 2 inches off of it. So it's now a 4x4, and it's going to be our journal box, which, as you can see on here, is just below this other picture. And I really want this to line up a little bit more inside. Here we go. That looks good. And this is going a little bit askew and out. And this one is a little bit askew as well. And I think that actually is going to work for me. Yes, so let's go ahead and get those down with our regular tape runner. From our matte pack here, our 4x4 now journal box. And I love how these building blocks, the paper actually was almost like a built-in mat for our photos ready to go. And when I hold it up, you'll see I do have just a tiny red line running across the bottom of my yellow, but I am actually okay with that. It kind of almost fits in with the red lines running through the journal box. So now we have where it looks like they've have borders or you know, where they punched borders, or you can use your border maker system. There looks like there's one that's a little bit larger running across the bottom of the page, and one that's a little bit smaller running across the top. And I went ahead and pulled out my stickers because I really loved the idea of this pencil. But again, I might have to cut this down. I don't know how I feel about running the whole thing across, but I also like this little ABC chalkboard running through the bottom, and I actually do like that here. I'm actually going to line it up here with my journal box because that seems, it's almost like it's continuing the lines coming from the box here. But the pencil's what I was thinking about putting across the top. But I'm thinking I actually might have to cut the pencil down a little bit. I don't know. Okay, I'll just go ahead and go with it, because the other thing I've got is, in fact, this is actually going to even cover up some of my little overlap of my triangles. My happy mistake, but that's okay. But what I did also do is I pulled out this, but that's going to go over our picture, so I don't necessarily want to do that. But there's an idea for you. In the embellishment pack, there is this little piece of pencil that almost look like little banners. And I think that would actually be really cute. Once you get your pictures on, you can hang this over, and I think that would be adorable. I'm actually going to hold that up for you so you can see what that would look like together with that. But I don't want to put it right now because I don't have my pictures on the page. I had looked at these lockers at one point, but there's definitely not space for those. They're way too big. We have, let's see, there's an I Love School sign that I could fit, but again, I just think it's a little bit too big along with the school bus and the backpack. I have a little stack of books here, and this has where there's an embellishment on the top, which I do think this is the pencil banner would be perfect. But then they also have a title running, which can run easily down here, and an extra embellishment. I think we're going to put these books over here, and I'm not going to put the glue or the tape runner in this upper area because I do want it to, my pictures obviously to be there. So find my repositionable. I'm going to, actually, you know what, I should use foam squares, and then that way I don't have to worry about it and my picture will just slide right under. How's about that? So let's run our small foam squares, if I can find where I put mine, along the bottom here. So I've got one on this side, and we'll run a few across this bottom. There we go. And then I'm just going to place it in this corner and it will be ready, and my picture will just slide right under it. Oops, okay. Good thing I caught that one. Make sure we've got this. Yep, there we go. So it's up, it's out of the way, but it's still placed where it shows nicely. It has those primary colors repeating our blocks and kind of our blocky shapes. And I think this layout is done, or it will be once we get our pictures on and I can put my little pencil banner. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and hold this up for you. Here we go. How's that for a back to school layout? Not too shabby. And again, here was our sketch that we were working from. So I am going to go ahead and figure out a card with our scraps here, and I will be back with you in a moment. I'm going to pull some things out here. Welcome back. I'm ready to put together my scrap card. I've grabbed one of my blank cards from our blank card kit. I've cut down the last mat to 5.5 inches to fit the width of our card, and I'm going to go ahead and place that down. So you'll notice that our black piece here is just a little bit short because if you'll remember, it was a 4x6 inch piece. So I cut it down to 5.5 inches to fit our card front. But I didn't necessarily want this white to be showing above and below. So we had this piece of blue that has blue on both sides of it. It was, oops, I need to cut this down. It was, I guess, a 2 inch by 6 inch piece because I cut it in half at 1 inch. And it looks like we're going to be cutting about a 1/2 inch off of it, because I need it also at the 5.5 inches. Yes. There we go. Just taking that 1/2 inch off, and that's what's going to run across the top and the bottom of our card. So I'm going to go ahead and get these stuck down as well. And I liked the side with the white on it, the little white brick showing. Just thought it popped a little bit more. Oh, and I put the tape runner on the wrong side, so I'm just going to flip this over and go with it, because you know what? Sometimes it happens, and sometimes it's a Bob Ross happy mistake, and sometimes it is what it is. Next, I'm going to place this red scrap we had that had the yellow on the back. It was from the end of our 3 inch by 8 inch piece, I believe. And I'm putting this to the right hand side. I want to place our bus embellishment on it. So it needs to be just a little bit over from the edge because the mirrors on this bus stick out. They're foiled. They're really cool, but they stick just a little bit beyond our paper, but they still stand out with the black behind it and with the red highlighting it. So I'm going to go ahead and add Just tape runner to it. No foam squares on this one because the foam squares are going to go on our sentiment, which is coming off of our sticker sheet. And we have this Oh, the Places You'll Go, of course, by Dr. Seuss. And that's going to go on this other side of our card. I'm going to go ahead and grab out a couple of our larger foam squares. And this is going to go over here. I just love the sentiment of Oh, the Places You'll Go, and then of course we've got the school bus. And finally, I'm going to grab out one of our enameled little thumbtacks from our embellishment pack as well. And I liked this lighter green, just caught my eye. And I thought it would be kind of cool to just kind of act like we're sticking it on with the thumbtacks. So let's go ahead and add our 2 thumbtacks to the top and the bottom. I'm going to grab the darker green for the bottom. And well, I guess they disappeared just a little bit, but not too bad. And I think it's cute. It looks like you kind of put it there and they forgot about it a little bit, but oh, the places you're going to go with your scrap card on your school bus. I think it would be a great first day of kindergarten card, maybe even a first day of preschool card. We still have a few other scraps that can be used for other projects. You know me, I'm gonna definitely find a layout, or I might even use it in one of our virtual crops coming up. Stay tuned to see if I do some more lives with those. That was a lot of fun. And I think that is it for this one though. Here is our card, and I will bring back out our page. Here we go. Leave me a comment and let me know how you like it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. Until next time.